Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be taking a look at 5 steps to improve your writing for the functional skills level 1 and level 2 writing assessment. So it's really important that you stay to the end of the video. We're going to go through all of the 5 steps to make sure you pass your assessment. So by the end of the video you'll be able to recall the key tips to pass the writing assessment, understand how to achieve a pass in the exam, and apply your understanding to a sample writing assessment. So the first one, step 1. What we're going to think about whenever you're faced with a writing question is breaking down the question and identifying the TAP. Now if you're not too sure what we mean by that, the TAP is the topic, so we mean what specifically are they asking you to write about, the audience, so who you're writing to. It might be that it would be, if it's informal, it might be friends or it might be family. If it's formal, it might be someone in a more professional setting, so MP or a teacher or someone potentially that you're applying for a job for. And then the final one is purpose. So what are you trying to achieve in your writing? So these are the key things that you need to consider whenever you're faced with a writing question. And a lot of time when we do get our writing questions, they are quite long-winded, so it's really important that you take that time and break down the question and actually know what you're going to focus on in the exam. Before we move on from this then, I'd like to try and stretch and challenge yourself, and I want you to have a look at the example question at the end of the video and to see if you can break down the T, A and P. When it comes to making a plan, there are several different options that are available to you. It's important to note that in the actual assessment you won't get any additional marks for producing a plan, so if you are going to plan, make sure that it's one that only takes you a few minutes to come up with. So here are some of the common ones then. We have a mind map, a spider diagram, bullet points, and the one that we're going to focus on in more detail, which is checklist planning. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually see how I've used this to answer a question in previous lessons to actually help break down the key techniques that I need to use in my writing response. So look at the example and use it for your own response. Now in terms of our techniques, we need to be focusing on our DeForest techniques, and you can see them all there on the left hand side. If you're not too sure what we mean by these, please do check out other videos that go through them in more detail. Now in terms of planning my response, I'm going to have some draft sentences. Now in these sentences, I'm just going to try to use some of my DeForest techniques, and they're going to be aimed towards a specific topic, and the topic that I was looking at with a previous lesson would be on healthy eating. So for the first one I believe that it can be hard being a parent, however. So what we're doing here is we're using the technique of an opinion to say it's something that I believe, and we're also including a discourse marker to allow us to get a different point of view in the argument. So we might say, I believe it can be hard being a parent, however, we need to make healthier choices for our children, or something like that. So the next one, you're presented with challenges, obstacles, and serious issues on a daily basis. And for that one, we've used a triplet. So you can see that there that we've got challenges, which is 1, obstacles, which is 2, and serious issues, which would be 3. The idea being that 3 ideas towards a common goal will get us more marks. The next one, who doesn't enjoy eating junk food every now and again? So we have a rhetorical question. Next, we have 90% of parents are exhausted at the end of the working week. We actually have more than one technique in this example, but the main one we want to focus on here is our statistic, which is 90%. Then we have our final one, who can blame them for giving themselves and their family a tasty treat? Which again is another rhetorical question. So this is a really helpful thing to use when you're actually coming up with a plan, because the more you do it, the quicker you're able to generate a plan like this, and it should only take you about 5 minutes anyway. Then what we're left with is a few stable sentences that you can help to structure the rest of your response, and also we're going to get a few extra marks as well because we've been able to use some of our DeForest techniques in our planning as well, and we're going to then apply that to our writing when we actually write the assessment for real. Step 3, structuring your response. So this is something we went through in previous videos as well, so you can check this out, especially in our intro to writing. We go through this in more detail. We go through the acronym known as TIP-TOP. Now this is to let you know when you need to do a new paragraph. So for the T, we have time, we have place, topic, and then we have person. So it's important to know that each one of these, this is going to let you know when you're going to change your paragraph as well. If you're not writing in paragraphs, then you're seriously going to diminish the amount of marks that you're able to achieve in the exam. So it's important to make notes of key moments where you need to change paragraphs in your writing, and try and think about the kind of organisational features that you can use to help structure your writing. So if you get something like a leaflet or an article, why not use subheadings to help break down your paragraphs, and that will make structuring it a lot easier in the exam. Step 4, this is where you're using what we call our punctuation pyramid, to use a range of punctuation to make your writing engaging. Now this is really interesting because if you're only using the kind of second level with the full stop and the commas, you're not really showing any emotion in your writing, and you're not really showing that you know how to use a range of punctuation. So do try and work your way down as far as you can that pyramid. The more you use, generally speaking, the higher level you're going to get, and that doesn't just speak for level 1, level 2, but also for GCSE as well. Step 5. Read, review and manage your timing. So if we think about reading back through our work then, so read back through your response and check your spelling, punctuation and grammar. Remember that the examiner needs to see you have a good understanding of how to communicate properly. Review. Look back over your response. Have you written paragraphs? If you have forgot to write in paragraphs, it's quite an easy fix really. You just need to go to your margin and do 2 vertical lines where you'd like your paragraph to go. It's important that you look at your word choice as well. Have you used a range of interesting adjectives to make your writing engaging, or have you just used some of the more safe, kind of easier vocabulary? It's important that you're thinking about, rather than using the same words over and over again, think about your synonyms and using the more advanced vocabulary to get more marks. Have you used any DeForest techniques? Again, that was something that we covered in the previous one as well. And the final one, this is something that people get caught out on all the time. It's one of the biggest comments that I get, that they've done really well on one of the questions, but they ran out of time when it comes to the second one. So remember that you have 2 questions to respond to for your assessment. Try and manage your time effectively, and don't spend too long on just one question. Remember, these are going to be equally weighted as well, so it's important that you actually are aware of how long you've spent on one response, and you don't go too slowly and not spending too much time writing a really in-depth plan when you're wasting time and need to get started on the actual written response. So if you need any additional questions, there's one below. So you can use the example question to practice applying the 5 steps. So it says then, you've recently bought a new games console, but it's broken. You decide to write a letter to the shop you bought it from. You need to explain what the problems are and what you have done so far. You should also ask what advice they would give and suggest what you would like them to do about it in return. And it also includes the address at the bottom. This is a really good one to practice because it's a good one to practice in terms of actually writing a letter, and also getting that tone right when you're trying to write a letter of complaint as well. Now in terms of our next lesson, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at another form of writing. We're going to think about the following things. So we're going to recall the writing question from this lesson. We're going to understand how to craft an effective response, and then you're going to apply your understanding to draft and edit your own response to the exam question. So if you haven't got your exam just yet, then please do keep coming back. We're going to have more and more videos to help you get ready for your assessment. If you need any additional support or help, the new videos will be added every single week. Alternatively, you can leave us a comment below, like and subscribe, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks ever so much for listening guys, and all the best for your work and revision in the future. Bye bye.